So, Ninny, I've heard someone say money doesn't change people, it reveals them. What are your thoughts about that?
You know what? I unfortunately, in many cases, because I try not to be absolute, saying in all cases this, in all cases that, I try not to do that. But I believe in many cases that money doesn't change people. It revealed the person that was there the whole time. I cannot believe that you're a certain way, then you get money, and then you change into this other person. No, I. Here's my analogy. People go in, like people go to the club or they go to a bar, they go to a setting, and they
Mhm.
drink alcohol and then cheat on their spouse. And then they come back and apologize to the spouse and they say I was drunk
Yeah, that craziness.
and I only slept with the other person because I was drunk, okay? And I'm not trying to start a fist fight. I'm giving an analogy. I'm going to be honest with you. I have been, we've all, let me put it that way. I have, a lot of people out there have been so drunk, it's a wonder that they're still walking and their clothes never came off. Why? Because they were not going to cheat on their spouse. I saw a YouTube or TikTok where this guy was just flat out drunk. I think he was in the bushes, but it was a tall bush or maybe a pillar, and he was leaned over, and he had got to the house but hadn't gotten inside the house. Brother man was that drunk. Wife came outside to get him, and he said, "I'm married." Now this is his wife. He's so drunk he don't even know that's his wife, but he not so drunk that he cheats on her.
Mhm.
Okay? He drunk, he doesn't, this was his wife. And said, "Well, come, no, I'm good. I'm married." "Well, come inside." "No, I have a wife. I'm married." This chick is the wife. He's that drunk. He doesn't recognize his wife. But he not so drunk that he would cheat on her. People,
He doesn't recognize his wife, but even being that
come
drunk
on.
and incapacitated, he still recognizes his commitment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Money don't change you. It reveals you. Alcohol does not change you. It reveals what was there all along. But you want to know what alcohol does? It takes away the restraints.
Yep.
It takes away the restraint. And so guess what? The the moral, ethical you has to come out. And maybe you're kind of loose on the morals and loose on the ethical. If going out having drinks, because can make you cheat on your spouse. Look, I do not believe money changes a person. You can say, well, you know what, Joe or Barb, they were just dirt poor people. They grew up dirt poor. And you would have thought that when Joe got money or when Barb got money, they would be better. But oh my gosh, they turned out for the worst. They weren't loving, they weren't helpful, they didn't share, they used their money against people. Well, poor being poor didn't mean they were quote unquote decent people. They were just poor people.
Mhm.
And the individuals that showed up, once the money showed up, let's say they hit the lottery. Well, once the money showed up, it was already there.
Yep.
The uncaring, the unsharing, the bitter person, the the vengeful individual. They were there. It just having money empowered them to express what was always there. At the end of the day, there's a lot of restraints in the world that, but for these restraints, people, you would be surprised, and for lack of another term, we call it a restraint. We can call it a boundary that somebody will put up until, or you can call it a mask. And let's say Barb and Joe, they're wearing a mask. But the minute they came into that money, that mask came off. They didn't need the mask. But at the end of the day, there's still Barb and Joe full face out. And there's still Barb and Joe with a mask on. They're still that person. And so at the end of the day, I don't believe that money changes a person. I believe that it not only does it reveal you, but it creates the bigger monster or the larger angel. Because you can do good or you can do bad with that money. You can do good or you can do evil with that money.
Yep, 1000%. And that's one of the things that's really important and something that I found in my own life. And there's so many lies that I've found about success, about money. One of the things that I find is that, especially when it comes to men that are not disciplined, men that have not decided on a life purpose, it's extremely difficult for them to give congratulations, props, and admiration to men who have. And that's one of those red flags is the person that's wealthy through all the research that I found, all the clients I work with, all the cases I personally worked on, in general, everybody that I've come across that's truly wealthy, that's a man, it was not something that just happened like this.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long series of calculated decisions. When some people are buying Camaros and Mustangs with their money, they went and got a Honda or Toyota Camry. When other people are getting grants and loans and blowing all the money, they steered it towards their business. When other people are at the clubs or bars buying all the shots, doing all this other stuff, this other individual is at the library late or at home with the lights on by themselves, struggling, trying to create a vision of the future that they believe in. And then what happens is that person becomes well off. And then all these other individuals that didn't go through that path, didn't go through all that pain, but wanted the same result, have to discredit that person to make themselves feel better about their lack of progress. Because I have never once had a man who I started to dissect their life choices about why they don't have money truly admit to their failures of character until I brought it up to them. Because it's hard. It's hard to say I could have had a completely different life if I'd have just been a better person.
Especially if you knee deep in life,
Mm,
especially if you're traversing through middle age and heading on to like my age. I'm 70, and so I can it's unfortunate to be my age or near my age and sitting around with regrets. It's like, gee whiz, I don't know what's sadder because it speaks of a life that you did not live as well as you could have.
mm.
But look, nephew, here's the deal. Discipline is a sacrifice. Now, look, come on. We cutting through the fat, and we just hitting the real live meat of the matter. Discipline is a sacrifice. Not everybody wants to make a sacrifice, even if they're making a sacrifice for the betterment in the future of their own lives. They still don't think that's not worth it. Pay attention to, and I'm talking about guys now, because I'm sorry, the guys need the discipline more than women need discipline.
Yes.
Guys need different discipline than women. Women need the discipline just to shut the heck up and to know when to say something and how to say it. That's what, look, if we don't spend this year doing nothing, You don't even have to have five things on your list. One thing on your list, and that is to discipline yourself enough to know when to shut the heck up, and to know when to say something, and what and how to say it. It's gonna take some of us all year to get that done because our own worst enemy is our mouth.
Hmm.
We get ourselves in trouble. We shortcut our blessings. We cut our future off at the knees, not because of what we do, but because of how we talk. That's it. Women need verbal discipline. We need to get that mouth together. Men, they need behavior discipline.
Hmm.
Men don't need to get the mouth together. Men need to get their behavior together. The reason why discipline is not attractive for most men, a lot of men, and it's different from for women. So I'm just going to talk about for guys. It is because discipline is sacrificial for a man. It's sacrificial, and I'm gonna tell you something. A guy who won't sacrifice for his own life, for his own future, is not worth the time of day.
1,000.
Especially for a woman who's looking for a man and a father for his children. Discipline is sacrificial. If a man is coming into 2025 saying, okay, I need to get myself disciplined, look at his list. If you look at a disciplined man's list, you will see more things that he's getting rid of than what he's putting on.
Yep.
Okay,
He's
I
got
need
to
to
get
get
rid of
rid of
that stuff.
this. I need to get rid of this. Sacrifice. I need to get rid of that. I need to stop going here. You know what? These two dudes, I'm gonna have to cut these dudes out of my circle.
Yep.
You see him cutting away or sacrificing or putting away things that is a challenge for him to do. But he sees the value and the worth down the road because he sees the better him. He sees the futuristic him. And so, because of that, he is willing to make sacrifices for himself, for his own life, sacrifices for the future.
Yep. And 1,000%. If he's not willing to do those sacrifices, forget about it. And see, that's the interesting thing about men is at a certain point we know what we need to do. It's like you don't it's for men it's a lack of discipline. I find with a lot of women it's a lack of knowledge. They think they know men and they don't know men. Men know what to do to get the woman. It's just the question is whether he will do it or not. And that's the irony right there.